So, hello, what are you guys doing today?
We are here to try to get Abbott to open up Texas. We don't want socialism.
And we don't want masks, and we don't
want
the governor.
masks.
If anybody's sick at our house, it's not his job.
Where are you from?
Hunt, Blanco,
Blanco, all right.
Fredericksburg area.
Kerrville.
Kerrville?
My misspelled thing.
We need to just be done with COVID. Get back, open up our state. Let us get back to work.
People are losing their businesses. Little kids are being affected by the mask.
That'd be great.
Hi, I see you're part of the SREC.
Yes, I
State
am.
convention go this year.
Horribly, the Democratic mayor didn't let us come to Houston. We wasted all our money. We didn't get together, and we had to do it on Zoom, and it was very frustrating and confusing.
Okay.
But we got the business done.
Well, that's what counts. Okay, thank you.
I'm opposed to mandatory face masks. If you want to wear a face mask, wear it. If you don't. I'm a libertarian.
Why are you carrying that sign?
He raped 13-year-old girls with Jeffrey Epstein, 1994.
Why are you carrying the sign?
Oh, well, Donald Trump rapes little girls with Jeffrey Epstein back in 1994. I'm holding him accountable.
Where?
New York City, the Les Wexner Mansion.
So you're making that accusation?
Yeah, I am. The Katie Johnson lawsuit, you can look up online.
Did you run against Lanny Fox?
I did.
Okay. We want only talking stuff around here.
He's a crook.
If you got a guy who grabs little girls and sniffs their hair,
It's
and you
disgusting.
get drunk,
You got to vote third party. You have to. Vote for me.
listen. If you got a
don't have
guy,
to, but
you're not.
I'm here.
Hey, your brain matches your head. Listen to what I'm saying. If you got a guy like Biden sniffing girls, listen, and he's grabbing girls,
Disgusting.
so why don't you have Biden on there?
You haven't seen Trump do any of that.
You can't spell it.
Hi, what are you guys doing here at this rally?
We're here to try and whip Governor Adolf back into line. This mask and all of this stuff shutting down the economy is absurd. I've, over the last 10 months, traveled 12,000 miles from Atlantic City to Santa Monica and from Wisconsin to Texas. And all those people out there that are healthy, not wearing masks, there's no pandemic. And when you look at the real statistics, the claimed deaths are coming from less than 1% of the counties U.S.-wide. What's wrong with this picture? Obama and Biden didn't shut down the economy during the H1N1. They didn't even react to it until November of that year.
Around here, or did you have to travel?
I'm a native Texan. I only traveled for 2 hours.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to me.
You're welcome.
The rally today.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your intent here?
The masking situation is ridiculous, but it's also to support the Republicans, as well as the current President of the United States of America and Vice President of the United States of America to be reelected.
So, is that the typical attire?
No, this is the first time I'm wearing this particular outfit, but I do enjoy wearing corsetry.
All right. Well, maybe I'll talk to you later.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you.
You guys have a good one.
The mandate, we can trust each other more than we can trust the bureaucrats and the wannabe kings.
Right.
Hey, I'm really proud of y'all for coming out today. We've got people from all over the state. I've heard Houston and San Antonio, Dallas-Fort Worth Metro, people from Tyler. Who came from far away? Where'd you come from? Livingston, Corpus, Lubbock, McKinney.
New Braunfels truck train.
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. You guys came from all over the state, and we came for one reason and one reason only. This state is closed down because of one person. This is really important because he's trying to pull the head fake on everybody. And the one person who has this state closed down lives in that mansion right there. So let's make some noise for Governor Abbott. Okay, so this is important. Look, he's going to tell you that he's opening the state. He pulled a head fake this week and tried to say he was opening the state. Why don't you tell him what the governor did? What the governor did, the governor shut down many Texas restaurants, bars, and businesses. What he ended up doing, shutting down bars, businesses, and restaurants, telling them that they couldn't be open any longer. Now, earlier this week, he says, well, I'll tell you what, you still have to be closed unless you go and beg your local feudal lord, the county judge, the Democrat where you live, and maybe they'll let you open. Greg Abbott shut down our economy. Greg Abbott can reopen it.
That's right. Start acting like a Texan.
Open Texas now!
Open Texas now! Open Texas now! Open Texas now! Open Texas now! Open Texas now! Open Texas now! Open Texas now! Open Texas now!
Open Texas now!
The guy who, on all counts, just keep his mouth shut and,
Abbott's a coward!
Instead, we've got an activist, Sid Miller, who understands the harm that's being done. Sid Miller, thanks for being with us today, man. Good morning, Patriots.
Good morning!
Good morning to all Patriots in all Texas. Thank you for coming to your capital today and fighting for freedom. You know, 400 years ago this year, actually last month on September 6th, there were some ships landed in America. And the Pilgrims stepped off the Mayflower on Plymouth Rock. And that was the birth of America. And ever since, we've been fighting for freedom and liberty and everything that's dear to the American character. And we've done that in Texas. 185 years ago, just down the road at the Alamo, those men, knowing that they were facing certain death, stood for freedom. And that's why we're gathered here today. Our freedoms are being threatened. They're being taken away. You know, our very livelihoods are threatened. We've been made into winners and losers, and quite frankly, there's a lot more losers than winners. It's time that we send a message to this governor, even though he's probably well-meaning. His policies are not working. They're causing huge hardships on our economy. And quite frankly, Governor, your cure is worse than the disease. Stand with us. Let's get this state open. Send a message to the governor that we're ready to open Texas. God bless you. Thank you very much. Here comes Julie McCarty from the True Texas Project, making her way up. There she is.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out. I'm so excited that you're here. This is a fantastic crowd. Everybody on the True Texas team, let me hear you shout. We are all true Texans, and I'm so glad to see you. This is really encouraging. I want you to know I'm here for one reason. I want the rest of the nation to know that we do not want a President Abbott. That's right, he already thinks he's a king. We don't need to give him another title. But y'all, I want you to make a lot of noise today. I want you to be adamant. I want you to post on Facebook. I want you to spread it all over social media. No more Abbott. Open Texas.
No more Abbott.
We've also got Max Rinaldi, one of the real leaders in the Texas Conservative Movement, former member of the Texas House. Mayor Rinaldi, come on up here.
Hello, everybody. If I would have told you last year that your governor, would have locked you in your house, prevented you from traveling, kept your kids out of school, forcibly muzzled you, and kept you from seeing your loved ones in nursing homes, what would you have told me? All for a virus that's comparable to the flu for most people in this country. It's a disgrace. I would tell you people would have taken to the streets. Well, here we are, right? How absurd of a thing to close down society because of a virus. How absurd. And think about it. What the defenders of Abbott say is, well, everyone else was doing it. That's not an excuse for my 3-year-old, and it isn't an excuse for the governor of Texas either. And now Florida's open, Tennessee's open and unmasked. South Dakota's always been open and unmasked. But Texas, Governor Abbott subscribes more to the worldview of California Governor Newsom, that he can somehow control a virus by closing down businesses or masking people forcibly. Well, no, we say no.
Go California, my Texas!
Exactly. But what does he care, right? I mean, he's still getting paid even though you're out of work. He still gets a nice little house behind us that you all pay for. What does he care? And think about it. He's putting the burden of it on our children. Our children who are at zero risk. Our children bear the burden of this. That's cowardly.
Texas has the most
Our children are out of school, and the ones that are in school, our children are out of school, and the children who are in school are being treated like prisoners with masks and partitions. It's absolutely absurd. Free the children. There was no justification for this in the first place given, and there was no end game given. We don't know when this ends. Probably doesn't. What is it? Is it flatten the curve? The curve's flat. Is it zero COVID? We still don't have zero Spanish flu. It's been 100 years. We still don't have zero Black Plague. It's been about 700 years. Right now, tell the guy in this house as loud as possible. I want to hear it as loud as possible. Free Texas.
Free Texas!
Open Texas.
Open Texas!
Unmasked Texas.
Unmasked Texas!
Thank you very much, everybody.
But let's just look at the facts. And you got a 97.5% of all Texans have never tested positive on this Wuhan virus. And if you did test positive, you got a 99.9% chance of being just fine. But what did King Abbott do? He made 3 million people out of work in one day because he's a fearmonger. He made those millions of Texans dependent on the government. Slaves, bigger slaves than we already are to the government. He destroyed more liberty in one day than we've lost in the history of this state. He's a traitor. And it isn't bad enough that he destroyed our businesses. Did he ask anybody how hard you worked to create that business? No! Did he care that you slaved for generations maybe? You and your wife, or your wife and your husband, your children? How many sacrifices were made between you and your employees? How many football games you missed? How many soccer games? How many vacations you didn't take? Did he care? No! It's criminal. Well, maybe I'm being a little hard on it. Well, you see, King Abbott, he's never had a job. He's never created a business. He's never hired anybody in his life. He's been working for you, the government, his whole life, 30 years. He's worked for the government. He closed our churches. First, let me just rewind and tell you that everything how the state of Texas responded to this virus is on his shoulders. He's 100% responsible for everything. He closed our churches for Easter, the holiest day of the year. You couldn't bury the dead properly. You couldn't even hardly bury the dead properly. You couldn't go to church. You couldn't get married. And worst of all, you couldn't baptize your baby into our faith. We stuck in. Made sure nobody saw us. We had a beautiful ceremony. And then we had to sneak out and make sure no one was in the parking lot. Because we didn't want to go to jail for baptizing our grandbaby. This is the state of Texas. Religious liberty is destroyed. The churches are still never going to recover. You know, we're 100. We are special. We're Texans.
Yes.
We're not just a little special. We're 110% special. We have a lot of pride. Shredded it. I'm telling you. I do believe something. Our greatest days are yet to dawn. A new day is coming. Our Texans. Our forefathers knew they were not fighting for the moment. They were fighting for the future.
Open Texas now! 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 Open Texas now!
All right, we got somebody else over there.
When Gavin Newsom closed California, Texas stayed open because Texas leads. When Whitmer closed Michigan, Texas stayed open because Texas leads. When Inslee closed Washington and Brown closed Oregon and all the other states started falling in line, Texas stayed open because Texas leads. I was bragging on Governor Abbott on national radio every day, talking about how Texas was doing it right. We were being rational. We were being logical. We weren't overstepping. We weren't doing this completely unconstitutional, irrational closing of our states like we've never done in our history. And then on March 31st, I'm literally on the air and I get online and I see the headline that our governor has fallen in line with these liberals all over the country.
I'm a fellow patriot. I'm an American. We're all American. There is no color. There is no race. We're all Americans. I stand up here, a Latina, for Trump. I stand for the people of Mexico who have risen up the past couple of days, 153,000 people that stood up against their corrupt government, against their corrupt Democratic president, who cares nothing about them, that they're in poverty right now. All they care about is the drugs, and the drug cartels are equivalent to their president. That's why they remain in poverty. That's why they go through what they're going through right now. No more, no more. The American people, we're gonna rise up, and we're gonna lead the way to all nations, to Mexico, to Cuba, to Venezuela, to all nations. We, the people, the Americans, are all united, and we're all gonna stand together. Vote Trump.
A political announcement by a bunch of knuckleheads. You know, let me first of all tell you something. The last time I was here in Austin, Texas, to talk about opening up Texas, it was up there on the steps of the Capitol. But if you recall, on that day, Saturday the 23rd of May, I got on my motorcycle to head back up to my home in Garland, Texas. I had a pretty bad motorcycle accident just north of Waco in the city of West Texas. And here I am, just a few months later, standing before you because of your prayers and your thoughts and your well wishes. So I will continue to honor that oath that I took as a man in the United States Army. It said that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely without any purpose of mental reservation, so help me God. Thank you for allowing me to continue to live to that oath as your chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. Now I will tell you this. I got an email this week from the chairman of the Brazos County GOP, and he copied the chairman of the Texas Republican County Chairman's Association and a couple of members of the SREC on it. And on that email, he pretty much so asked me, why do you want to be a part of this rally? Why would you do this? Why would you be there at a time right now before we start voting in this election cycle? And so I responded to him very succinctly. I told him that in the 22 years of my being in the United States Army, I learned a lot of lessons about leadership. But one lesson that I learned was from Brigadier General that served with me at Fort Bragg. And he taught me that leaders know what right looks like. And I told him that true leaders don't pick and choose when they do what is right. They do what is right all the time. And the second thing that I told him I was going to do was stand before you all here today and to read this resolution. No exceptions, no delays. Open Texas now. Whereas Texans have been under emergency closures, lockdowns, mandates, and restrictions for 6 months. Whereas state and local governments have exercised egregious overreach in misguided attempts to mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 disease. Whereas state and local government overreach has infringed on our constitutional liberties, including our rights to property and to peaceably assemble. Whereas this egregious government overreach has resulted in unthinkable depredations upon the people of Texas, including left millions unemployed, countless businesses bankrupt or on the verge of bankruptcy, nursing home residents dying alone and isolated, lives ruined and dreams destroyed. Whereas COVID-19 can pose a serious risk, in particular to some at-risk groups, and requires Texans to act responsibly for the health of themselves and their loved ones. Whereas businesses and customers are fully capable of operating freely while undertaking reasonable precautions without top-down government mandates. Whereas every day that closures and restrictions continue, they wreak havoc on the livelihoods and liberties of Texans. Therefore, be it resolved, the Republican Party of Texas calls on Governor Greg Abbott to immediately rescind all COVID-related mandates, closures, and restrictions to open Texas now. A copy of this resolution shall be sent by the Republican Party of Texas to the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, Republican state senators, and Republican state representatives. This resolution was passed by your state Republican Executive Committee on 19 September by a vote of 54-4. I want you to leave here today and understand one simple thing. Government is not in existence to protect your health. Government is in existence to protect your rights. And you are expressing your rights right now.
Preach it.
So we call upon the governor to do what is right.
That's right.
By the people of the great state of Texas, so that Texas can continue to be a leader. And if the governor did not get this resolution, I'm going to leave it right here on the gate to the governor's mansion. God bless you all.
Open Texas now! 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 Open Texas
Bell to give us our liberty that we have here today. And that is what government is here for, is to protect your rights and your liberty, not to protect your health. That's your job. We have a generation behind us that took on the two mightiest armies in the world, not knowing what was going to happen. We're the 49th country to enter World War II, and we're ranked 17th in the world in military power. But our men and women had the courage to take American liberty abroad and we didn't conquer two countries. We liberated the people over there.
Oh, yeah, no, we got to have them, but we got to hold them accountable. We got to learn how to dig on them and see who they are, right? Because it's our responsibility.
Free Texas now! 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 Free and the free Texas now! Free Texas now! Free Texas now! Go about it now! Free Texas 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 now! Now our message, Texas now! Our message to Governor Abbott, let me get it to him. Our message to Governor Abbott is this. We now know that they've exaggerated the COVID-19 deaths 99.9%. We now know they've had false testing. They've counted folks that died of other things as COVID deaths. And it's time to end the COVID hoax and the COVID power grab now. End the lockdown now. End the lockdown now. And arrest Bill Gates. Arrest Bill Gates. Arrest Bill Gates.
We're allies of science. We just need a common sense approach to coronavirus. And so thanks for helping us plug the spread, you guys.
We want to be out here. We're looking for any type of BLM organization or, any type of folks that are oppressed.
They're disproportionately affected.
They don't have access like this because they're marginalized.
Yeah.
They don't have access to affordable housing, affordable health care. So we're trying to get these to them, but we can't find any of those people around right now.
Thanks for helping.
We heard they come out later at night, so maybe we'll check them around. I don't know, 10:30 tonight. Police department.
Thanks for being our allies. Thanks for being brave.